Hey, my friends, how's it going? My name is Marissa, and I'm extremely honored to be offering you guys these divination sessions. Today, we're diving into your next phase of evolution. These generally are things that we can sometimes intuit, like we're given clues or breadcrumb trail, or we can just feel the momentum starting to gather. And sometimes the phase of evolution can be kind of sudden and unexpected. So, we're gonna see together which one that falls in, which category that falls in for you guys. But we just have 4 piles to choose from today, 4 crystals, I should say. And when you're feeling ready, we're gonna hop into these readings. What's up, group number 1? Welcome to your reading in regard to your next phase of evolution. So, pile number 1, I feel like in whatever it is that you're doing in life, right? Whatever it is that you're called to do externally, I feel like this most certainly has to do with just this next phase of evolution is going to deeply and profoundly shift how you navigate your world and the levels of prosperity you will be able to tangibly experience and to tangibly see. I feel like, so we start over here with the Queen of Pentacles and end the spread with the Empress. So, with centering and time for a nap and freedom, I feel like your next phase of evolution, you're really carrying yourself in a much more relaxed way. Like, you're not as stressed. You're feeling much more free. Maybe you're, taking more time to prioritize yourself, to prioritize your emotional state, to just prioritize your energy field, in all of the ways. Like, really taking a nap. Like, this could actually include taking actual naps when and if you need them. But, we have centering over here, and with watermelon tourmaline, we have Venus energy, Saturn energy. This speaks to love and balance and clarity. So I feel like you're not making decisions in a haste. You're not making decisions or doing things or putting yourself out there, or the place you're coming from, during this phase of evolution and after this phase of evolution is profoundly shifting. So you're not doing it to prove yourself, right? You're not doing it because you're low-key in competition with someone. You're not doing it because you feel like, you need to rewrite a childhood narrative, right? It's like you're just the place you're coming from when you're doing things feels very pure, very like it is coming from a very centered place, a very balanced place, a very rested place, right? And so I'm not surprised to see this in a spread, because honestly, when we're living life in general from a place of peace, like that, the choices we make, how we interact with our world, the types of relationships we have, everything from there shifts. Even I'm even seeing that things that might have been in your reality for a while with this 4 of Pentacles, are going to be deeply affected. Like, you could have a certain person in your life, for example, right? This is just take this as an example. So you can have someone in your life and you could have beef with them throughout your life, or just not maybe fully feel appreciated around them, or they might just rub you the wrong way or something. But you'll start to notice that when you start to center and when you start to feel this internal level of freedom, and when their actions and behaviors don't trigger you, right? Because you're just feeling much more at peace, and you're not willing to give up your peace so easily, you'll start to notice that those people change, at least around you. It might not necessarily, their behavior and actions or whatever they might still be very triggering to other people, but because their games aren't working on you, because there's nothing for that negative projection to grip onto, it's just going to melt away, right? And so I feel like, again, we start over here with the Queen of Pentacles, and then we evolve into the Empress. So you're already doing well. This is telling me you're already doing well. You've already seen success in your life up to a certain point in time, right? You are respected by other people. People see you as being a catch, whether you're male or female. You're very mature. You're very generous. You're very loving, very giving. Whatever is actually going on is, doesn't really matter. This is how you're being seen and how you feel, probably, Like most of you are feeling this, right? And so your next phase of evolution, this tells such a beautiful story of like, what I love the most about this Chariot card in particular is other Chariot cards are very active, right? They're very like running towards you, or the horse is going, right? And so what I love that I was guided to use this deck in particular for this group, because this Chariot card is one of my favorites. It kind of tells us or shows us the power in remaining centered, and power in reducing haste, and power in just like living from a really relaxed approach, living life from a really relaxed sense. And so I feel like you're going to start to see more and more, because it seems like you've kind of surrendered to this purification process again with this Saturn energy. And yeah, we're even talking about someone in general. And, this starts off with saying relationships are the currency of life. So, this talks about enjoying the sweetness of life. So this could really be, in a lot of ways, again, the watermelon, it has like a bitter kind of like external layer. It's like bitter and it's hard to get through. It's kind of waxy sometimes. But then when you get to the center, it's so sweet and it's so delicious, and it is so nourishing, especially like on a hot summer day, like when you need it the most. It is so nourishing, and it's like so simple too. And so I feel like you're going to be, this next phase of evolution, you're relishing in the simplicity of life. And, I'm seeing someone that's just taking time to smell the roses, and someone that, again, it's like this, you're moving out of needing to prove yourself. And I feel like you've probably already felt that for some time, like kind of seeing the futility in living a life where you're trying to just like prove yourself, because ultimately a deeper part of you understands like trying to prove my self-worth is coming from a place of low self-worth, right? But when you got it going on, it's just like you're free, right? And so it's like you start off here, and then you're going through some sort of process, this phase of evolution with this Chariot. And then I feel like old structures, old things, the way that you're relating to things that are currently in your life is going to shift. And so you're making new decisions. And I feel like within this phase of evolution, I feel like something is going to like be born from it that you're not expecting, right? Or something like you might not even shift anything dramatically in your external world, but because you're operating from a higher frequency, obviously that's going to call in new things, new people, new experiences. It just seems like you're carrying yourself like with your heart forward and your chin held high, and it's like your arms are just open to life and what it has to bring you. But I do see like whatever you're doing, you're elevating your game. This phase of evolution, however long it lasts, whether it's 3 months to seven months, or 3 months to 3 to 4 years, whatever. I just see someone who's really deepening into a certain a very profound level of calm, a very profound level of peace. Again, it's like you've done so much unearthing and so much like penetrating past the thick layers of like protection and pretense. And so you're really starting to like feel the nectar of your own energy, the nectar of your own experience. And I feel like this tells me of someone that is just like very in love with their life. And even when you go out and about, I'm just seeing someone that is just like so in flow with people. Like, I don't know why I'm seeing someone that is just like shooting the breeze with random people, like random strangers, and whatever it is that you're doing. Like going to the park or going to the grocery store, it seems like you're really just relishing in the nectar of everything that life has to offer you, and you're not rushed, right? What I love about the Queen of Pentacles and the Empress, it's this really lackadaisical kind of mentality, like still about their bag, still about their purpose, but it's like, I've got nothing to prove. Like, I want to enjoy my journey, right? And so maybe you have been someone that's always been very like go-getter and very, very purposeful and intentional about what it is that you want to bring to this planet. But I feel like your approach and where you're sitting at is much more enjoyable, right? And much more like there's a lot of lucidity around it. There's a lot of wiggle room. There's literally, I'm seeing like, she's like in a bubble of light, right? Sitting on top of like a lotus, which always reminds me of the crown chakra. So you're really in flow with life. You're really surrendered. I feel like this is like, along with this phase of evolution, I just feel like your field in general is just feeling like lighter because you're ascending in terms of density. And it's interesting because I almost feel like this is happening because you've like, I'm about to say given up, but not in a way that Western culture or just like hyper masculine culture would make that seem. Like giving up doing things because you need some sort of external, you need to prove yourself externally or whatever, you know, or like knowing, okay, I got to make money. I got to like, you know, obviously there are certain rules within this game that I'm playing, but how can I play this game in a way that's like truly enjoyable? Because there's nothing that we can do. There's nothing more telling of how much we believe in ourselves than being like, okay, if I'm going to play the game, I'm going to play it in a way to where I'm enjoying it fully. And so I feel like you guys have already started and are like, even if things have changed along the way and regenerated and you've started off and you've tried different things is what I'm saying throughout your incarnation. It's like, there's such a maturity about you, not just in terms of what it is that you do, but I feel like you kind of, this next phase of evolution, you're appreciating everything, like all of the phases of your journey. You've appreciated all of it. And the thing about this Empress is that, you know, she's ruling over all of the queens here. So we have the Queen of Swords, we have, the Queen of Fire, the Queen of Wands, we have the Queen of Cups, and we have the Queen of Pentacles. So it's like, I'm getting the sense of someone that has tried many different things and not given up and like really persevered. And so you might have given yourself a lot of freedom, right? Or this next phase of evolution could say that you're really locking into that thing. You know, you've given yourself a lot of freedom to explore. And I feel like this is also saying that this phase of evolution, you're really learning you've really mastered the elements within yourself. You've really mastered your mental realms. You've really mastered your emotional realms. You've really mastered your spiritual realms. You've really mastered like how to navigate your external world. And so I feel like this is, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being my favorite pile to read for, but this energy just feels like a long time coming and someone that has not given up, who has consistently persevered and like it's finally paying off, right? To where, I don't know why that's upside down, to where it's not like, oh, it's no longer an if this happens, you know, it's only a matter of time before you start to gain the prosperity and the evidence, etc. And this next phase of evolution, I think I can see that things are really picking up. And it's because you've released a lot of that internal resistance that comes along with like needing to force something, you know, for any reason at all. So let's see what else that this might entail. This next phase of evolution for pile number 1, please. Okay, take this one. So we start off with the 9 of Coins into the 10 of Coins. We have the Queen of Wands into the King of Wands. And we also have the 8 of Coins into the 9 of Coins. So yeah, this tells such a beautiful, this really confirms everything that we've been discussing here. I mean, I love that there's a star in the sky. This reminds me of the star card, right? The 8 of Coins is someone that has like, you know, the 8 of Pentacles really is someone that has put in the work. Someone that has taken, you know, no matter how tired they are, no matter if, you know, how much they have wondered, is this ever going to happen? Am I ever going to, you know, am I just wasting my fucking time? Like all of these things all of these doubts we can have when we're taking our road less traveled. It's like moving into, okay, I'm starting to see that it is like, it can sustain me, and like someone that has not given up hope. And so that trickle eventually, you know, once this phase of evolution, I feel like you're really marinating. I feel like it's just going to happen very fast. I don't know what the timeline is going to be, but you know, that's a relative term, fast, but I feel like it's just ultimately going to surprise you how quickly this changes. But again, there's so much earth energy coming through that I really feel like this is in the realms of your external environment. So your finances, like your communities, etc. Like things are going to grow. And it's because the place that you're sitting in is like you have surrendered to your path of purification. And with the 9 of Coins into the 10 of Coins, this talks about helping other people along the way too. So I wouldn't be surprised if you do resonate with being a light worker of some sort or a healer, and like everything that you touch is being enhanced, right? With the Queen of Wands into the King of Wands, it's like an up leveling. The up leveling starting with the Queen of Pentacles into the Empress was already very obvious, but now that we have the King into the Queen, this is really saying that this phase of evolution, obviously, like you're evolving. It's very clear. And it seems like it's a very enjoyable phase because, you know, what we know from the human experience, it's not always fun. It's not always fun, and it doesn't always feel good. But this one, I definitely feel like you have, you know, the queen has seen battles that have ended in failure, and the queen has seen battles that have ended in victory. And so you've played the gamut, right? You've experienced, you've learned how to keep yourself in a very centered place. And I feel like, again, that's what purification does. It really gives us a permission slip to not take our cues from the outside. And so that's something that happens with that process of weathering, right? Of that process of smoothing out the rough edges and, you know, becoming like a diamond, so to speak. It goes through a lot of pressure. And so you've been through a lot of pressure. And so, you know, this next phase, it's like really now just like surrendering and knowing that, yeah, that pressure might still be there, but there's not so much of a resistance. There's not so much of like, you've attached your identity or made it mean something negative about you when you do go through these processes or whatever. It's like, I just see things picking up in a very obvious way, not just in how you feel, but in what you see externally, right? And so, yeah, I do see this as being a very comfortable upgrade. Like, what I mean by that is, I can see you telling a story. It's like reflecting on this period with other people and just being like, yeah, it just all worked out. I just didn't stress and it all worked out, right? Versus a story of like, yeah, I was so stressed and I was, you know, because I was so stressed, I think I made it worse for myself, or, you know, because I was acting from a panicked place, I think I made some shitty business decisions or whatever. It's like, we're less likely to make shitty decisions when we're in a state of peace. Right. And we're much more resilient and much more able to like face the consequences of any shitty decisions that may come when we're in a state of peace. Again, because peace to me represents someone that understands the journey and understands that that's part of life and is not here to fight against life and is really here to see what life has to teach me and you, right? What life is here to ultimately help remove, right? It's like that saying of, you know, the fire only burns away that which is not pure. And so it seems like you're really left at the center of like, you've removed those layers, and now you're just really in a place of this next phase. I feel like you're really just enjoying the sweetness of life. And yeah, other people are going to see it. You're going to see it in your creative fields. If you're an entrepreneur, you know, everything is going to benefit from this. And yeah, this feels very good. And you're very relaxed, pal number one. And it really is a long time coming. I can definitely see that. Long time coming. So I'm going to leave this reading here for now. I hope this brought clarity, confirmation, peace to your heart. If it did, please give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below. You guys know the routine. If you've been here before, I hope you consider subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you part of this community. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. What's up, group number 2? Welcome to your reading for your next phase of evolution. Now, my pile number 2s, it is very clear to me that you guys are either on, you will, like, this phase has to do with overcoming some sort of emotional upheaval or some sort of crises that I feel like you guys might not have been expecting, or that just really threw you off of your center. I feel like either, you know, there's 2 scenarios that is really coming up here. Either you have been through this crisis where you really felt like you were rejected or you were left out in the cold, and something like the 5 cards, to have 2 5 cards, it's like needing to be honest, needing to face the truth about a situation. And so facing the truth sometimes, you know, can provoke or evoke, I should say, crises. And so either this phase of evolution is going to be catalyzed by this. It seems like in some way it goes hand in hand. So like the crisis happens and then this catalyzes you into it, or this could be saying that the crisis has already happened, right? And so now your this journey of evolution has to do with the recovering from this, okay? And so, you know, this essentially, tarot just continues to tell and reiterate the hero's journey and the human experience over and over and over again in a multitude of ways. And so I feel like, you know, this tells such a beautiful story about starting off as someone that feels like, you know, they can't even see the good that is around them because they're so focused on, you know, the grief that they're experiencing, which is, you know, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong or negative about that at all. And so starting that way and going through this journey of having to pick yourself up by the bootstraps and feel like, you know, you kind of have to go at this alone, to being someone that is working so hard with the Seven of Pentacles, putting in the work on themselves, to someone that really starts to see the light and is flourishing, and then ends up being someone who is extremely emotionally stable, right? And so two different ends of the spectrum in terms of feeling so desolate and depressed and forgotten, forsaken, to someone that, you know, knows what they have to offer, and someone that is ultimately grateful for the journey that they were sent on. So I feel like this crisis and this phase, this journey of expansion, has to do with like, this catalyzed you to ask certain questions, right? This catalyzed you to go deeper into yourself and to get to know yourself more. This probably also, this could have to do with lifestyle changes. You might have started to take care of yourself more with all this earth energy. Like, you know, I'm getting that Virgoan kind of sense of being, you know, very health conscientious, whatever that means for you, like really taking care of, you know, getting exercise, seeing how that actually has an impact on your state of mind, right? Feeling strong mentally is going to help you feel strong physically, emotionally, or I'm sorry, feeling strong physically helps you feel strong mentally, emotionally, etc. And so I feel like, again, this, you know, this catalyst, this crisis, this thing that has fallen apart. And it's interesting. Oh my gosh, I'm just noticing that we have the 3 people here, and then we have the 3 cups here. So this might have to do with like, it might feel like there's multiple areas of your life that are falling apart. Or this might have to do with like a group of people or a community that's not working out anymore. Or so, like a group of people you have to walk away from. Maybe it's a job. Maybe it's something that's going on in your family life, right? But I can't help but seeing that we have, you know, the 3, these 3, whatever you want to call them, fallen angels. And then we have the 3 cups that have, you know, it seems to go hand in hand with what has catalyzed this grief, right? What has catalyzed this crisis. And so, you know, it seems like you're in a really tender point, a really tender spot at first, but then you ultimately, I see you guys coming out on top, and this catalyzes you into deep self-exploration, right? And so what started off as something that you never would have chosen for yourself ends up being one of the greatest gifts that has come across your path. Okay, and with lepidolite here, we have Libra, Jupiter, Neptune. And I love that that's also ending, it's, you know, falling towards the end of this reading again of, you know, we have so much, you know, Neptune with that emotionality, but then Jupiter is a planet of abundance. And, you know, and this does talk about transition and release and change, you know, and the 5 cards talk all about that, of change. You know, change is going to come, and change is bound. And so, you know, this also talks about letting go of attachments to old behaviors and addiction. So I feel like this is you really stepping out of an old reality and an old version of yourself that maybe you were so attached to whatever this was, it's so hard to let go because a big part of your identity was sourced from whatever is ending, whatever is currently leaving your life, right? Yeah, oh my God, it actually says change is coming. I didn't, you know, A Change is Gonna Come is one of my favorite songs by this group called Greta Van Fleet. Shout me out, y'all, if you have heard them. They are incredible. But it's, you know, lepidolite is the perfect crystal to help you with those transitions, becoming aware of bad habits, patterns, etc. Healthy lifestyle, look at that, you know, releasing old behavior. So yeah, it encourages self-esteem on all levels. If we want to step away from our current way of doing things, you know, this is talking about rewriting. It literally says, write the story you want to live. And so this phase of evolution is really you stepping out of this victim, this sense of feeling like you're victimized by life, or like there's nowhere to go, you know, this sense of like, what am I going to do from here? And really just like putting in, like just doing fucking something to get you out of this energy. Because this, you know, this could be just emotionally speaking, like emotionally stagnant. But then that's also reflecting like maybe you're not spending time with people. Maybe you know, all of other areas of your environment are going to be affected by this because it seems like it is something that has taken a big toll on you or is going to. Right? And for most of you, I am getting the sense for most people that like this is probably a trigger that you have already gone through, or something that is already like falling apart, or you already have probably a good idea. If you've been tuning into the other readings, this might be people that have been drawing piles about needing to walk away from groups of people, certain people in particular, right? So I do see that, you know, this next phase of evolution is like you asking the right questions, you going to the right sources, you really wanting to not let this get the best of you, but also honoring this human experience and all that it has to teach you. This is really you becoming much more independent holistically, like emotionally independent, like getting to a point to where, like, yes, it's nice when we have those things, but when we have people and when we can celebrate with other people, but getting to a point to where you are self-sourced primarily. And then obviously, like, we learn the most through our, like, the reflections we get from other people, through the mirror that they hold up to us, to our own selves, right? And so this next phase of evolution is really, really you picking yourself up out of the dumps, out of the ditches that you felt like you've been in, and really just starting something, really just putting your one foot after another, and, you know, not worried about what it looks like. I just noticed in this card that, like, half of these are green and half of these are brown. And that's coming up in the middle of this spread. So I feel like it really is showing, like, there will get to a point, like, this is where the scales tip, right? And so I feel it's interesting that it's coming up right underneath the Y, because the scales tip once we're honoring what it is that these lessons were here to teach us in the first place, right? And the thing about, it's interesting because, like, so often I feel like we could have done things in the past or been old versions of ourselves in the past or whatever, and be worried about the karma that we have to clear, like, down the road or in this lifetime or in the next lifetime. But your willingness to grow ends up eating away that karma and living in alignment with dharma, right? Your willingness to grow and to not always be right, and to, like, not always be right in assuming how unworthy you are, right? Because I feel like there's some sort of narrative that you're telling yourself, or that has been reiterated, or that's going to be provoked, that is telling you the opposite of this. But at the end of this journey, or like halfway through the journey, you're really going to start to see how much you have to offer. You're going to feel it in your bones, and you're radiating, like, there's only reflections, like, you're getting, most of your reflections are of abundance. Like, of course, even in this, there's some brown, like, wilting leaves, but most of the reflections, most of the leaves are very prosperous, and you know, the berries are blooming, they're juicy, they're ripe. I just noticed that there's a little slug here too. So yeah, there's a lot here about slow and steady, whatever you know, like, I feel like we only want to be out of something really quickly when, of course, it's harder, it's much more challenging to honor the journey when things are shitty in our environment. But I feel like they feel shittier when we assume that they should be any other way, or that when we think that it's okay because, you know, how did I attract this? What is off within me? What is not right within me to have attracted this? That's bullshit. It's not, like, I feel like that's a toxic way to think, you know, of, like, if something bad is happening to me, that's my fault. You know, these are all catalysts for your growth and your evolution, and to get you into this point of being this, you know, someone who is very beautifully self-sourced, and that's what you're well on your way towards, into where you're feeling it, you're radiating it, and yeah, you're really there's an invitation here to really catapult and get a lot of work done in a short amount of time, because whatever this is, I feel like it is pretty jarring, or it has been jarring if it's something that you've already been through. And it might even be something that you've been resisting or putting off, or, you know, for some of you who haven't been through it yet. But yeah, ultimately, I feel like this next phase is, this could even be saying too that for some of you, or for a majority of you, it's just like saying this next phase of evolution is like stepping beyond the crises needing to happen so much, and really being at a point to where you need less of these types of catalysts in order to stay over here, right? Because, you know, you're not fighting, you've really integrated your lessons to a point to where they don't have to be so painful. You know, if that transition, if we're not already here with those people that are, you know, drawn to this pile in particular, right? So yeah, transition, release, change. A lot of changes coming for those that chose pile number 2. So what else does Spirit have to say about this next phase of evolution? So we have the Magician and the High Priestess. So yeah, this talks about someone that is working a lot, but then doesn't stop to turn inwards, right? Doesn't stop to, I feel like this is, again, this reiterates someone that's going more from living a life that is so pulled around by, it's like you can experience your emotional purges, you can experience life, you can experience all the entire gamut of the human experience, but without being so swayed by any of the suggestions externally. And so I feel like that's what this next phase is ushering you into a space of where you're not creating anymore from this place of lack and from this place of expecting the next shoe to drop and from needing so many crises to happen in order to catalyze you into a much more powerful direction, right? Because it's like we only really need these crises when we have forgotten where to go to for our nourishment, or when we're kind of like, when we're just out of touch, you know what I mean? But when you're really in flow with life and really surrendering and not saying no to things because you're afraid of the growth, and not saying yes to things because, you're comfortable where you are and you don't want to, elicit a tower moment or whatever. You don't want things to change so drastically, right? So it's like really the place you're sitting in when you're saying yes and no is because you honor life and the direction that she's leading you towards and all of the unearthing that she has in store for you. These crises need to happen a lot less. And so that's what you're learning, right? In this next phase. So next we have the Page of Coins into the Knight of Coins. So yeah, it's so interesting that these past few piles, 1 and 2 has such an emphasis on like physical reality. Because that's kind of a change from my readings the readings that normally happen. I feel like it's much more, it speaks much more energetically, if anything. But this is really telling me that you're going to see a big shift in your finances, a big shift in how you're relating to your material world. And there's not going to seem like such a difference between internal reality and external reality. It's going to feel like a very seamless feedback loop, right? Because there's going to be much less resistance. And yeah, there's a sense of stopping to smell the roses and not taking life too seriously, and, not honoring, obviously, your emotional purges, but at the same time remembering how short life is. And so you want to just like bask and wonder at what's in front of you, what is here now. It's like whatever this is, I feel like it is so rattling, or your crises have been so rattling that, you're making the choice to be more present. You're making the choice to see the glass half full. You're making that choice not out of a weird sense of like assumed morality, or what is that called? Like you're not doing it because you think that that's what you should do, but it's really a choice that has been made because you've come to this conclusion yourself. Right. And so last but not least, we have the Ace of Coins again into the Two of Coins. So yeah, I feel like you're really going to see a change in terms of how you're making decisions and the opportunities that come your way. And you're going to be at a place to where you're juggling a lot more. And I feel like you're going to have multiple streams of income, or your hands in multiple projects, or doing a multitude of things that are just a natural extension of this up-leveling process. So we have someone that starts off feeling very desolate, and like maybe you come from a past of, feeling very disappointed by life, feeling like it's always one thing after another, feeling like, that it's not the best story that's being told. It feels like a story of like, I'm sure there's light, right? There's obviously, I feel like you guys are very introspective overall, but I am getting the sense of someone who's very weathered with the journey. And so now it's like, it's those scales have tipped, or are tipping, or that's what's happening in this phase of evolution, that you're approaching those scales tipping, and you're seeing a big change in your external environments, the type of people that come around you, the type of money that you're making. You're starting to see that the reality that you want is actually possible. And it's interesting too that we're ending with the Cups instead of the Queen of Pentacles. And what I love about this is that you're just content, right? And that I feel like to an extent, maybe you've not felt like this security is important to you because maybe it has been something that has really felt like it's been lacking throughout your lifetime, is like security on some level. And so, we do have the Pre-Empress card, right? or the, you know, the Nine of Pentacles. So saying that security is going to be there, but overall, what's most important to you is you feeling right internally, your heart feeling right, you remembering that, you know, you feeling like what you're doing is making a difference on the planet, making a difference in this world. And so that's what, you know, change is happening, change is coming, right? And so I feel like this is something you've probably been asking for. So ready or not, it's coming. And for some of you guys, it's already been catalyzed. It's already happened, right? And yeah, what a beautiful journey that you're on. And I deeply feel that you guys will continue to ask the right questions, continue to turn in. And yeah, one foot after another. And just know that it's inevitable, right? It truly is. I feel like this is an inevitable change. It's like the only difference here is how much we prolong that process through doubts and like acting on those doubts, right? Acting from that place of insecurity versus acting from a place of like, what would that version of me that I know that timeline that I want, the timeline I'm on, like, what do I need to do today, right now? When it might seem like I'm starting from nothing, doing that thing now. And I feel like you'll be surprised at how good it feels and how quickly it feels like things are being built for you and the opportunities are coming in, etc. So pile number 2, I'm going to leave this reading here for now. I hope this brought clarity, confirmation, peace to your heart today. If it did, please give this video a thumbs up. Comment any synchronicities down below. Subscribe to my channel if you've been here before, and I hope to see you soon. What's up, group number 3? Welcome to your reading for what it is, your next phase of evolution. Brain fart. So it's really interesting, you guys, because I was just telling pile number 2 that I've seen more pentacles come up in the, like, just 1 and 2, pile 1 and 2 alone than I generally do in a lot of my readings. And you guys have 3 cards, 3 pentacle cards here as well. So a lot of the types of evolutions that are happening for at least those beings drawn to these videos when they're posted, or, you know, at some point when they're watching it, it's really telling that a lot of the things that are evolving are the relationship we have to finances, and the relationship we have to making money, and the relationship we have to utilizing our gifts, tapping into our unique soul stream, soul signature in order to create a life of abundance on every level. I feel like, so just so you guys know, the 7 of Cups was in a reverse position, so I made sure to take note of that. I generally just read upright though, but it did flip over upright, or I'm sorry, upside down. And because we had that in the unfinished symphony, I feel like there's been some sort of blockages in terms of figuring out what direction you want to go, or figuring out like what option to take, or figuring out your next journey, or your next like making sense of things, making sense of your life, right? We have the cacoxenite, which resonates with Sag, the sign Sag, and the moon, right? So the moon in Sagittarius. This talks about interconnection, ascension, attunement. There's many cards here with Metatron and Freya with sexuality, and, you know, the ascension with cacoxenite. There's a lot here that speaks about your ascension and your spiritual journey. And, you know, sexuality, this reminds me of the Kundalini energy and shooting that up the spine, raising that up in order to penetrate the third eye, in order to, you know, experience the more subtle nature of this reality. And when we experience more of the subtle nature of reality, it's a much more peaceful, a much more calm, much more joyful place that we're residing within. And so the next step becomes much more obvious, right? Because we're tapping into infinite intelligence. We're tapping more into the fabric that, you know, makes up everything in the first place, but also knows our own, like each of our own unique puzzle piece. And so when we're learning how to assimilate and digest and tune into that energy and those subtle frequencies more, like things lock into place very seamlessly, and we know what to say yes to. We know what offers to say yes to and to accept. We know which offers to deny. We know how to juggle things, right? It's like I am getting the sense of there's a lot of perseverance involved with this pile, and your next phase of evolution is really, I feel like, you guys upgrading in terms of like what you have to offer, how much you have to offer, like what you're putting out, the quality of what you're releasing. And also, I feel like you're just showing up as someone that has many gifts to offer, right? Many things to offer. And so learning how to fine tune those and learning how to channel those things to where you can utilize like the most amount of your strengths in the most amount of areas, right? And in ways that just make sense. And this could even say like utilizing strengths, like putting your strengths together in a very unique way, your gifts together in a very unique way, that kind of like launches you in this direction of great success. And what I love about this dude too is like, you know, he's looking at this pentacle like he's hungry, right? And there's nothing that, you know, can stop him from achieving what it is that he wants to achieve. So I feel like this next phase of your journey really is about you coming more in alignment with just like being unapologetically you. Like Freya is, you know, it is titties out, okay? Boobs out, no care. So this is someone to me showing up less filtered, like not really filtering themselves or holding themselves back for the sake of being understood, for the sake of whatever. And because of that, everything else is upgrading. Everything else is becoming better, right? Yeah, it says, oh my gosh, it literally says, become aware of the universe's messages as it is constantly communicating with you. I'm a little bit stuffed up, okay? Just so you guys know. I went to the zoo today, and so I don't know what's going on. Seasons are changing too, so just be aware of that. But yeah, I feel like, you know, Sag Moon, the thing about Sag Moon too is like, yeah, what can I learn from this? Sag Moon is like people with Sag Moon are people that generally are deep thinkers, and they're much more likely to be like the philosophers of our time and the spiritual teachers of our time, or, you know, having powerful placements in general with Sag, but especially in the moon sign of like how we're sifting through our feelings and how we're making sense of the nature of reality through the lens of Sagittarius. You know, it's very optimistic, but it's also, it makes sense in terms of the bigger picture, in terms of the grand scheme of things. So I feel like life is just starting to make more sense for you guys in this next phase. And, you know, Metatron comes through to help people who are newly on their journey. But, you know, I feel like most of those, you know, because we do have Ace of Pentacles, I feel like this new journey that you're on in general might have more to do with like navigating prosperity and navigating new levels of success and navigating the amount of attention you're going to receive from people on every level, like people seeing you upgrade and glow up and become more beautiful. Like I'm seeing a lot of glow ups and changes externally and physically and like to your environment. And so, you know, people are going to see that and people are going to like want a piece of that, right? But I feel like too, because we have cacoxenite, this is like a holistic upgrading with, you know, raising spiritual awareness and providing divine connection between the universe and humankind. I feel like that essentially is saying that, you know, your next phase, you're really starting to see how your gifts, how your talents, like it's not just a question of like, if I can do this, it's, you're very certain that you can. And you're already, most of you guys, I feel like, seeing some level of success in whatever you're doing or whatever it is that you want to do in terms of being a full-time like dream come true, living that kind of life, you know? And so I feel like, again, this is like you feeling less scattered by how many options or how many ways you can go about something, and just really, I love that Freya here, her eyes are closed, right? And she's just like doing her thing. She's not worried about who's looking. She's not worried about, you know, how many eyes are on her. She's not worried about, you know, she's just doing her, okay? She's just worried about how she feels. And so I feel like because you're locking into that, and because you are upgrading your your perspective in terms of what's most important about putting this stuff out there, it's not so it can be seen, so it can be appreciated, so it can be noticed. It's just because this is what I'm here to do, right? Metatron is about like soul's blueprint, right? Helping align people to their soul's blueprint, helping walk them through, helping shift their gaze to that, right? And so I feel like this might even be saying too, some of you guys might have started something and then, you know, gotten a little down on yourself because maybe you weren't seeing the progress that you thought you had expected to see or something. And, you know, that just goes along with this type of journey, this, you know, the dharmic path, the path of purification. That's what goes along with the territory is, you know, you're purified along the way. So any part of you that was doing it for the wrong reasons, or for the reasons that don't bring true fulfillment, the reasons that keep us in separation mentality, lack mentality, etc., you know, those are going to be burned away, right? But the thing about the dharmic path, it's so alluring because it's an extension of ourselves. It's like a true extension of ourselves. So we're going to keep coming back right? And so, but every time you come back, you start to notice that you're a little bit more free from those misperceptions. You're a little bit more free from those illusory places you were sitting, that kept the experience not as fulfilling as it could have been, and wondering, like, is this as cracked up as it's, is this really what it's meant to be, or as it's not as cracked up as, people are putting it out there to be, right? And I feel like you're becoming much more confident in who you are, much more confident in what you have to offer. And so there's like so many different new offers coming in your way with this next phase of evolution, but ultimately it's just because like you're feeling much more confident in your ability to make decisions for yourself, and your ability to navigate the material realm with the spiritual understanding is what makes you such a powerhouse, and what makes you such a force to be reckoned with, pile number 3. And so I feel like any part of you, because again, I am keeping in mind that this was in a reverse position, this might, in the past, you might have felt like you didn't know where to go, or you didn't know exactly how to go about, monetizing your gifts, or how to go about making decisions, or how to like be so spiritually aware as you are and exist in this world like holistically. And so I feel like now it's like you're not feeling like an unfinished symphony from a negative perspective of like, I'm never going to get there, like, is it too good to be true, etc. But you feel like an unfinished symphony. Again, yeah, this talks about perspective changing, right? Shifting your perspective. You feel like same thing, unfinished symphony, but the narrative that you've attached to it is what has shifted into being much more encompassing of truth, and less encompassing of and supportive of illusion. And so now it's like I'm an unfinished symphony because life is always unfolding and I'm always changing, and I'm just in flow with life and it's never ending, versus I'm unfinished because I'm not good enough, or I don't know how to start, or whatever, right? But this is the journey, this is the phase of evolution that you guys are approaching, or you're in right now, right? And I do see that you have a lot of guidance. You have you guys are probably very actively working with your guides already and receiving a lot of divine synchronicities. I know so many of people that I work with and that I'm just friends with, it's like, and I've had this experience in my own life too, that literally when I get nudges to do something and I'm just like not doing it for whatever reason, my guides will start speaking to me through other people, or like other people's guides will use other people's like physical bodies as a mouthpiece for themselves to be like, hey, you need to start this podcast, or like, hey, how's this thing going? How's this project going? And to give, because we really are all in this together. This talks about interconnection, attunement, right? Yeah, these aren't coincidences. These aren't just synchronicities. These aren't just coincidences. They are messages. So pay attention. Literally, your guides are speaking to you through other people, right? Maybe your tarot readers. Literally, that's what tarot readers do, is kind of serve as a vessel for the guides to come through. But literally, your friends, your family, your coworkers, even if they don't even know it, are indirectly giving you messages from your guides. Those people, not all the time, but pile number 3, that's really what I'm hearing is happening, okay? So let's see what else we need to know about this phase of evolution. That card did flip up in a reverse, and I feel guided to honor it for whatever reason. Okay, so we have the Tower. We have the Tower into the Star, so healing that has occurred after something falling apart, right? Or something not going as you had planned, again with the 7 of Cups and feeling unfinished, right? So there is this sense of renewal and this sense of not giving up, or not giving up because ultimately you might have thought that you gave up for a little bit, or have been wondering is this even fucking worth it, right? But I feel like this really is about maintaining focus on your North Star. And this next phase is really about becoming much more unapologetic in what you have to offer, not dimming your light, etc. We have the 3 of Cups into the 4 of Cups. I'm going to flip over the rest so we have a coherent reading. We have Temperance into Devil, 7 of Wands into 8 of Wands. And oh my God, it was the 7 of Cups again. That's so funny. Oh my God, I'm so glad I said that and didn't just think it. But remember, this one flipped over and I was like, this one flipped over, and I'm guided to leave it that way because I saw it happening out of the corner of my eye, right? So we have the 7 of Cups flipped upside down again in a reverse position. So this is really reiterating the fact that this next phase is you, like, don't wait around, right? Don't wait for perfect. Don't wait for right. Don't, like, I feel like that is this double energy, and the, you know, this, what spirit is trying to help you heal through, what your guides are trying to help you heal through and have a different perspective on, is that as long as you're on planet Earth, you're always going to be evolving. And so there might be part of you that is like giving into this devil kind of temptation, like the devil in your mind, right? The devil of your own doubts. The doubts that are your own devil, or like the devil being in the details, like trying to get everything right because you're afraid of looking wrong or afraid of looking bad. Like that is wanting to be healed at this time. And so this is really saying that, you know, those aspects that aren't supportive in your life, like eventually they're going to fall away, and we're going to have these internal tower moments. We're going to have these external tower moments, right? It's going to feel like we're at a constant battle of, like, with our own selves, with the 7 of Wands energy into the 8 of Wands, like constant battle, right? Like never able to slow down, never able to truly stop. And again, there is going from this sense of, like, this in between really talks about, or to me, what this talks about is going from a sense of, like, feeling grateful for what you have. Again, talking more about perspective, into, like, maybe questioning, like going from great gratitude to, like, not feeling grateful for something because there might be some sort of, like, comparative type of energies coming in, or it doesn't look the same for you, or someone did it faster, or someone did it better, someone did it A, B, C, and D. But really remembering that ultimately we don't understand what's in someone else's blueprint, right? We don't understand their lessons, their complexities this time around. And again, the Sag moon understands that, like, fortune, things that seem good on the outside come with their own misfortune, and vice versa. And just because it might look one way we will never truly know what that feels like, you know, from the outside looking in. We only know our own experience. And so I feel like this is really bringing your attention, again, coming back to that, this journey is becoming much more about you, from a sense of, like, you're not you're not in that comparison mentality. You're not so consumed in other people and how they're viewing you, and other people and what they're doing, and where they rank in comparison to you. And when you notice that come up, just, like, acknowledge it for what it is. It's like old karma running off, and it's an opportunity to just restabilize. It's an opportunity to see where you're still living in this, like, petrified nervous system type of energy, this fight, flight, or freeze. Like, I got to hold it down. I got to hold my ground. I got to, like, make shit happen. But it's coming from this place of feeling forced. When it comes from that place of feeling forced, I feel like it's because there's something that we're missing about this present moment and the beauty of what the present moment has to offer. And the thing about this is, like, he hasn't made the transition. Like, this is the in-between. So we could still stay in that celebratory energy, that gratitude energy. But again, depending on what narratives you're attaching, the narratives you're attaching to the things that are unfolding is going to determine which direction you go, right? Which side that you choose here. But I am seeing overall that, you know, there's a lot of good in your life, and there's a lot of good that's on the way. And you're going to see more like a catch holistically to other people. People want to work with you. People want to date you. People want to make love to you. People want you in their life, because having someone like you in their life is, like, holistically upgrades them. And yeah, I feel like more and more there's going to be so many more options coming your way. But ultimately, it's like with the 7 of Cups in reverse, it's going to feel less overwhelming. It's going to feel less, like, stressful, because you know yourself more, because you have, again, surrendered to the heat and not taken the bait of your doubts and your insecurities. And so where you might have done something in the past to try to, like, prove yourself, or to try to, like, outshine someone else or whatever, you know, there's so many different ways that we can see this ourselves operating from this state, and we can see other people operating from these states, whatever distortions are playing themselves out, so to speak. You know, I feel like you're going to be sitting in the right place, so you're not likely to make those same mistakes to where, you know, it feels like we're starting over and over again, right? But life will feel like a much more harmonious type of symphony. Again, a symphony is like all of the chords are coming together. They all sound different. Some of them might sound really shitty on their own, but, you know, because we're taking into account the entire picture with the Sag moon energy, we're zooming out. We're not so lost in the narrative that we're able to enjoy all of life and what it has to offer. So this next phase is really opening you up to receiving greater prosperity and to actually seeing your growth and experiencing your growth. And there's a lot coming through about not needing to prove yourself and really just feeling so free in your natural expression and reveling in that. And, you know, whether or not other people see that or revel in it is like, it doesn't matter to you to the degree that it probably once did. But it's that weird catch-22. It doesn't matter to you, but it like people are reveling in that as well, right? Because you're coming more online you're aligning more with the reason why you came here. And so that's attractive. That's fucking attractive when you meet people that are living on purpose and they're not, you know, aren't coming from this like superiority complex or creating from like an inferiority complex or whatever. It's just like they're taking, you know, their moments of failure and they're using that as fertilizer, right? Saturn leaves us feeling bitter, leaves us better, you know? And so I feel like you guys are, you know, this unfinished symphony in your perspective really is shifting. You have an opportunity here in this next phase to shift into it being like life is an absolute unfolding, and the good and the bad is all inclusive. And I'm not inherently good or bad, but you know, it's just about honoring the unfolding, honoring this purification process that my dharmic path currently has me on, and just like watching the beauty and the bounty that is born from there. So pile number 3, I'm going to leave this reading here for now. I hope it brought you clarity, confirmation, peace to your heart today. If it did, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps my channel grow. Comment down below any synchronicities that you feel comfortable sharing with the rest of the group. Subscribe if you've been here before, and I hope to see you soon. What's up, pile number 4? Welcome to your reading for your next phase of evolution. So I flipped over these 2 cards first with Shakti and energy and mending. I heard mending your energy field, mending like your auric body or your subtle body, right? Your subtle field. And because you do have black tourmaline coming up here, I am getting the sense of like this next phase of evolution has a lot of self-reflection. We have 4 of Swords. We have the Queen of Swords. 4 of Swords, Queen of Swords. And then with the tourmaline and just like overall, I feel like this next phase is a lot of healing, healing past hurts and healing just things that, you know, happen on the human journey of like starting off on new adventures and maybe things going awry, things not always going the way that we like anticipated them to go or that we had hoped they went. But ultimately, I'm seeing someone that has grown regardless, right? With this Hierophant energy, someone that has like taken the bullshit, so to speak, and used it into fertilizer to help yourself grow and to help yourself ascend. So this next phase of evolution really feels like you're looking at you're seeing yourself more clearly. You're seeing your life more clearly. You're seeing people more clearly. And I feel like you're able to experience life from a much more peaceful standpoint. There's a lot here about spiritually evolving, like your phase of evolution. This is the first pile that has not had any pentacles. They've all been like mired with pentacles, and it's very much so. The other groups have been about like external things. It's always gonna, you know, have spiritual undertones, of course. I mean, you're drawn to my channel, okay? But this is a group that is really focused on healing their emotional body, healing their spiritual body, their subtle body, their nervous system. Okay, so this next phase of evolution, what's going to grow you the most is taking time and space to sort out your feelings, to sort out your emotions, right? An energetic bodyguard. I feel like, you know, this is, and that's what this says, and that's what this shows. Okay, feeling not like you have to like put up shields of protection, but you're just restoring what has had holes brought into it from misperceptions, from letting people in that you probably knew better or maybe didn't know better and you just did, right? Just from being an incarnate on this planet, none of us are making it out unscathed, okay? We're all dealing with bullshit on this planet, right? And so I feel like whatever it is that you've like, there's a lot of false narratives that are being cleared through this next phase of evolution. And I love that the Hierophant is coming in the middle. And the Hierophant in this deck is so fun. He's so fun. He's so ecstatic. He's so bright. And it really is about like you're mending your connection to your higher self. You're mending your connection to the universe itself. You're mending a connection and like a mistrust of life of like, okay, I felt really good and I felt really inspired to do this. Why the fuck did it not go the way that I thought it would, right? And it's because like the day that we plant the seed is not the same day that we reap the fruit, right? That we reap the harvest. And so spirit will keep you moving in directions, or keep carrots on a stick, so to speak, and get you moving in certain ways to, to catalyze, to get you on this path of evolution, right? And so expecting things to go one way because we've been practicing our visualization techniques is only going to set us up for more suffering, and it's only going to prolong the process of getting from point A to wherever, whatever point that we feel like we want to be, right? But ultimately it does lead you. You're being led to victory, even if in the process at some point it felt like you were led astray or that you were betrayed by life or whatever. I just am seeing there were some things that maybe occurred in your early incarnation that caused some disturbance in your to your chakra system and to your subtle body, to your nervous system. And so this next phase is really about healing that and being around people that, like, this analogy has been coming up so much for me in my own life, but people that are actually like very peaceful beings and that could be really good for us don't always feel exciting to be around. It might feel boring if you're used to narcissistic, abusive relationships or love, right? It's like I'm starting to make that transition of thinking love is like supposed to feel this ecstatic kind of like super stimulated thing, because I finally looked back and created enough space in through my own time of self-reflection to see that, oh my gosh, those were like, because there was so much adrenaline and so much excitement, and because of the being on your toes, not knowing what to expect, and then also the dopamine that's released from like sexuality and like sharing your body with another person, it's like that starts to convolute our relationship to what love really is. And so at first, like, true love and good experiences and things that are really holistically healing for us might feel boring, right? But I feel like you're really you're really learning in the ways that life wanted you to learn in this next phase. I really do see you guys really being in your power, really coming up victorious, and such a shift from this Four of Swords to the Six of Wands. And not like this one is bad, right? Because this is one of the more pleasant Four of Swords that I've seen, right? But it's like just taking the time and not being in such a rush for what, rush for what? Because if we're rushing at any point, it's because we think that where we're at is not good enough, and that we're not good enough is essentially what that means. And it again reiterates that mistrust in life, versus when that it's like, okay, this is just what I signed up for. It's why I'm here. If it wasn't relevant, it would not be happening to me. It would not be happening in my experience. And assuming you guys drawn to my channel believe in reincarnation, that the soul lives on, and that this is just one of many millions of lifetimes, then you understand as well as I do that there's no rush to the end of this lifetime, but then, might as well just enjoy it and whatever it has to teach you. Because, I feel like that is the space that you guys are reconnecting with. It's not just, you don't just think that these are nice concepts to believe in while your nervous system is telling you a different story. You're becoming a house united is what I say, versus a house divided against yourself. That's in the Bible. A house divided against itself cannot stand. What does that mean? It means that you can visualize till you're blue in the face, and you're on a cerebral level, you're trying to create your reality, but on a vibrational level and on the level of your nervous system, there's some trauma there that has been unintegrated, and this is not attaching a storyline to make us feel like a victim, but it's just being honest about what the fuck is up, and like, what is this here to teach me? What was that here to teach me? Right? And so, I feel like a big part of that would be to teach you that even when you feel like you're this, that even when you feel this is actually happening, or that's an opportunity to actually see that this and this are two sides of the same coin, right? And so what I love about this Hierophant is this is a joyful being, no matter which side of that coin he lands on. Because ultimately there's a trust that's been gained that this is all here to set me free, as long as I take the time to reflect on what this is here to bring me to. Okay, and so you're ending you're leaving this phase of evolution feeling so solid within yourself and so peaceful, so calm, right? So like you don't have to like guard yourself or anything, but there's so much clarity that is on the other side of this journey that you're taking. And there's a lot of like, because you've sealed your field from this healing that you've gone through, it's like now you're able to channel that energy in a much more streamlined way, that whatever you do, it's not going to take much, because you're already very powerful. It's not going to take much, right? And so you think of something and it happens the next day, you know, or it happens the next like hour. That is the mark of a being that is really aligned, right? They're channeling their Shakti. They're utilizing their Shakti. Their Shakti isn't leaking, right? You know, that's where it becomes hard to make changes in our lives that we know that we need to make. It becomes hard to do that. Or like the willpower isn't there because we have too many leakages. But when you seal this, then, you know, it's so much easier to make the changes in our life that we know are holistically going to benefit us, right? Because that energy is not being leaked out to just like trying to survive, just trying to stay calm in a very neutral social situation, or just to, you know, feel okay in your body, to feel safe in your body, safe on earth, whatever it is. So we're going to get a little bit deeper into this. Yeah, psychic attacks, negativity, destruction, setting boundaries. Yeah, so this holistically, yeah, feeling like you have 2 feet on the ground, absorbs fear, transmutes those emotions into positive energy. So yeah, there's a lot about anxiety and probably trauma that I'm really picking up here. What else do we need to know? All right. So first we have the Knight of Swords into the Queen of Swords. So this is initiation. He's going from a knight and a being that he's about to take the crown, right? There's a lot of momentum. There's a lot of determination behind his face. And so he's going from being someone that's a student into being someone that is a teacher, into being someone that is a leader. So I feel like if anything, like you guys already have the codes of being a teacher and a very powerful person. I can very clearly see that. And so I feel like this is really saying that, you know, more time to heal that field, more time in peace, more time in solitude, more time around peaceful people, right? It's not that like, I just saw this really funny meme that really does sum up everything that I've been learning recently, the past like year, is like, it's not that, you know, for the empath, it's not that we are introverted. It's just we learn that we like peace and that we are actually very extroverted around people that are also peaceful, you know? And so I feel like that's the vibe that I'm really getting from this group as well, as you are the, you know, the powerhouses that have a lot to say and a lot to give, but that maybe it's taken you some time to learn who deserves that energy, who deserves all of you, and what those elements are that draw that out of you. And, you know, again, like me, like making sense of things, that patterns that have been following me around for over a decade, like are just now coming to the light. You know, I feel like that's what this journey is showing you, of like, oh my God, like I've been thinking about this person so much and they were actually a very narcissistic individual. Like, what the fuck? What does that say about me? You know? And, you know, take that lightly. I don't really have a whole lot of self-judgment. I'm grateful to like be at a point, but that's just because I've done a lot of self-reflection and asking like, what is the nature of this reality, etc. The path that you guys are on, right? So next we have 7 of Cups and 8 of Cups. So yeah, I feel like this next journey, this next phase is like seeing where you got to go, seeing where you're being led, and then actually making the decision to move towards those things that are actually more peaceful, right? This illumined little single flower, that kind of looks like they're in a cave too, right? Or that it's been broken open. It's like maybe this kind of tells me too of like knowing which option to take, because the rest have naturally fallen away once you start to prioritize yourself and once you start to step into your power more. I feel like this is really saying things are going to be very glaringly obvious of what you have to walk away from, and Spirit is just really being like, you know, make sure you walk away from those things that are keeping those holes intact, or like keeping like a wedge in those holes that are trying to be sealed. So, you know, you become much more of a house united within yourself. So you're not so scattered. You're not so all over the place. You're not so, because you guys have a lot of wisdom, but I feel like you guys are very powerful. But again, I know from experience that when there's been disruptions in your nervous system, it can feel so frustrating, because that can get in the way of like great opportunities that come your way. It can feel like, talk about judgment. That was the time I judged myself so much, is because I'm like, why can I fucking get over this? Like, this is so frustrating. Like, I know what I have to offer. I know what the fuck I have to offer, but because you have gone through certain experiences, it has created that, you know, scatteredness of your field, you know, that the anxiety, the trauma, etc., has there's a disconnection between the crown and the root is what I'm trying to say. All right, so what else do we have here? We have the 5 of coins into the 6 of coins. So yeah, moving at a time. Like, I feel like this is relying on other people, or not like fully relying on other people, but maybe seeking the advice of other people of like how they did it, how they went about it. But this is like not feeling like you have to do it on your own, right? This mending process, not feeling like, or not keeping yourself in isolation. It doesn't have to be an isolated process. But again, you can learn from experience of like, okay, who stands out to me in terms of being someone that triggers this PTSD, traumatic, trauma bonding type of energy, and who feels like a very safe, calm place to go to, and that I want to share life with. Then we have the 6, look at that. We have the 5 into the 6, the 6 into the 7. So this is really telling, now we have that pentacle energy coming in, because I feel like Spirit is really saying, focus first on mending, and then this whole energy of feeling like, okay, what do I do with finances? How do I go about navigating my external reality? Those decisions will make sense. Those decisions will be a natural progression, a natural unfolding from this internal type of reflection and this healing, this deep healing that you start to go down and to take place in. Then we have the 9 into the 10. What is this one? We have the Ace of Cups into the 2 of Cups. So I love that, we're ending with a card of like such emotionality, because yeah, I feel like this can be a time that feels very lonely, or that we really try to, isolate ourselves because there's so much anxiety in general. You guys could just be going through like some type of Kundalini energy, like Kundalini awakenings during this, right? Kundalini naturally makes us, when that's rising, it makes us very anxious. We're activating more of our psychic senses and becoming much more aware of the subtle fields around us. So that can be overwhelming when we have been operating at a certain level, and when you're already sensitive as fuck, like my pal number 4 is, right? And so I feel like that's why there's so much grounding, protection, etc., because this is a really important phase of evolution. This is very important. And so, I don't ever want to say it can make or break you, but there will be different degrees of the amount of joy you can experience it based off of like how much help you're seeking. Like, I was so grateful when I was going through certain like Kundalini awakenings or whatever, when I was really starting to learn about my own nervous system. I was so grateful that I had people to confirm, like the psychic at my crystal shop, to confirm my levels of sensitivity. And he was actually the person that was like, it sounds like I told him what I was experiencing, and he was like, it sounds like you're having Kundalini activations. And I had heard of that before, but I actually went home and researched it, and like all the videos I found, I was like, holy shit, that's exactly what I'm going through. And so again, that's coming back to like, you don't have to do it alone, and it's going to be a much more seamless process when you're like turning to other people who have gone through it, right, with the Hierophant energy, and not feeling like you're broken or something wrong is happening, just understanding that comes with the territory, and that's part of the process, okay? But I do see you making it out of this phase, obviously, and it's bringing you to a very sweet place to where you feel so different, but your external reality looks so different. The people you're surrounding yourself with, like people who actually have your back, people who actually want to see you succeed, people that weren't just like getting some sort of weird high from getting you to play small, or feeling like they had some sort of authority or power over you because you're such a powerful person, but you have these leakages. So that can make you feel very fragile despite your obvious power. It can make you seem fragile to other people, but I swear you're going to be one of those people that's like the underdog. This is kind of like underdog energy of like people being like, okay, this person has so much power, but they're not actualizing it. And so almost doubting you or not wanting you to succeed because of what that's going to make them feel like, right? And this is like, I don't ever mean to, like, it's not tea time with Marissa, right? It's funny because I do have a playlist on my main channel called Tea Time, but it's for my own reasons, okay? Just for like telling stories, real-time stories, and just like what I extracted spiritually from that, okay? Just felt like I needed to say that. But it's not like it's tea time with Marissa, but it's really just honoring and acknowledging that this is what the fuck is up on this planet, this density, 3rd into 4th density on this plane of polarity at this time in 2020s, whatever. That's like part of it. Is there, we can, stepping into our light can sometimes trigger other people's shadow. But I do see that you're surrounded by But at the end of this, you're going from this, you know, having walked away, having maybe only one person that you can rely on, if anything. If this little guy isn't just like your spirit team or your spirit guide, into feeling like you have found your people because you've taken the time. Again, with this Capricorn sun, there is a lot too about, that should have been my dead giveaway, that this was about career as well, you know, but I feel like that's important to you, but it's going to click into place more seamlessly, and it's going to feel better when the subtle body is healed. Because I mean, you guys might even be speakers and people that like want to do retreats and host workshops. And for me, for example, it's like I saw all of those things that I like wanted to do, but there was like such a disconnect. Again, my nervous system was so shot that I felt so scared to even like speak in front of like 3 people. Right. But then you surrender to the journey, and then I became a fitness instructor, and then I just kept, you know, I just followed, no matter how hard it was at first to face those things and to face certain things about myself, and how hard it was to admit certain things about my childhood and about, you know, my protection mechanisms and self-sabotage, etc. It's shitty at first, but it's worth it at the end, right? And you guys probably know that. You've probably been well on your path, but this is one specific area in terms of the nervous system and feeling calm in your body. Right. And then we have this beautiful blossoming of Ace of Cups into Two of Cups, of really feeling like solid and getting like, this is really, it's so beautiful because this is the seat between, right? The heart chakra is between the top 3 chakras and the lower 3 chakras. And so it's the bridge, right? And this is someone who's very centered, right? And so when you're comfortable in your body, when you're in a peaceful state of being, your nervous system isn't, you know, you're not in fight, flight, or freeze. You're much more able to receive divine guidance, and it's easier for you to like experience that divine guidance in your body, and to ground those realities very quickly onto the planet, right? And so I feel like this is you really living from the heart, and because of that, it's like you know, you're just meeting people who respect you, and you're meeting people like, you're meeting more soulmates, you're meeting more soul family. I feel like even within this journey, this is saying you could potentially meet your life partner, or a life partner, or someone that is also going to significantly help you with this, or coach you through this, or something, right? But ultimately, it's worth the journey, a beautiful journey that you guys are on, and I wish you nothing but love and many blessings along this process of profound shifting and healing by pile number 4. So if this brought clarity, confirmation, peace to your heart today, please do give this video a thumbs up. It helps my channel grow. Comment any synchronicities if you feel guided to share with a group. Subscribe to my channel if you've been here before, and I hope to see you soon.